It's no secret that Thanksgiving is one of the most underutilized and underrepresented holidays in the horror genre. So there's not a lot to choose from when it comes to horror movies this time of year. But I want to give you guys 5 movies that I like to watch every November. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Nick here at the Lost River Drive-In, and tonight I wanted to give you guys 5 movies I like to watch every November, every Thanksgiving season, whatever you want to call it. Now, as I said, there really aren't a ton to choose from. There are only a handful that are actually centered around the holiday of Thanksgiving. And even then, there are some that are kind of tangentially related to Thanksgiving or just seem set around November. So not everything I pick is going to be something that is specifically a Thanksgiving movie, but it is a movie that I like to watch around Thanksgiving. And starting this list off is going to be You're Next. Now, why do I call this a Thanksgiving watch for myself? It feels like a November movie. It feels like a movie that was like filmed in late November, takes place in late November. It just has that feel. It's obviously fall, but I don't know, especially if you're from the Midwest, you know what late fall looks like. Early fall, that late September, early to mid-October isn't the same as late November. This is when you kind of get the damp, dreary, the rain, a lot of cloudy gray skies, and it just looks colder. The leaves have already died now. They're all over the ground, and all the trees are dead. That's what You're Next looks like. It's what it reminds me of. It also helps that it's like a gathering of people in this big house around what seems to be the holiday season. So I always watch this movie in November. Actually, usually the week of Thanksgiving. No matter what time of year you watch this movie, you really can't go wrong. This movie's a banger. You've got some awesome inventive kills. You've got a badass final girl, a great setting, some nice twists and turns along the way. It's really just an awesome movie. So You're Next is going to be the first one that I'm going to recommend that you guys watch this November. Next up is going to be one that is centered around Thanksgiving, and that is ThanksKilling. Now, I know a lot of you guys have probably seen this movie or at least heard of this movie. Up until 2 years ago, I was somebody that had heard of this movie but had never seen it because looking at the poster alone, I was like, dear Lord, what am I getting myself in for? Well, what I got myself in for was a demonically possessed turkey murderer. That's really what it is. And I don't mean someone that murders turkeys. I mean a turkey that murders people. Yeah, it is exactly as wild as it sounds, but I gotta tell you guys, it's actually a really fun time. This is a movie that has kind of gained in popularity as the years have gone on as like a cult classic movie. I don't think it deserves the classic moniker, but a cult movie, we'll leave it there. It is funny, it's over the top, it's cheesy, it's corny, but it is a horror film centered around the holiday of Thanksgiving, which again has been super underrepresented, so you could do a lot worse than ThanksKilling. Next one is going to be Blood Rage from 1987. Now, Blood Rage is the horror film that everyone watches every November. It is the Thanksgiving horror film. There's a lot of reasons for that. It is obviously a movie that came out in the peak of the slasher craze, and this movie is no different. It is a very blood-soaked, wild, cheesy, over-the-top slasher film from the mid to late 80s. So if you like Friday the 13th, later sequels, and Nightmare on Elm Street, you name it, you get a lot of the same things in this movie, but it sticks out more a little bit because it is a Thanksgiving horror movie, and not one that's tangentially related. No, it is a Thanksgiving horror movie. I think that this movie is just such an easy watch. You could watch this any time of year because it really is just one of those over-the-top slasher films, but because of its connection to Thanksgiving and because it actually leans into that in the movie too, to where as you're watching it, oh, this is a Thanksgiving horror movie. It's really giving those vibes, that aesthetic. It is perfect for the week of Thanksgiving, if not Thanksgiving night. I haven't decided if I'm going to watch it this Thanksgiving night or this week. But either way, Blood Rage is absolutely positively everyone's go-to. You gotta watch it if you haven't yet. And if you haven't even heard of it, or you've heard of it and you haven't seen it yet, but you like slasher films, watch Blood Rage. It fits perfectly. Fits like a glove. Unless you're OJ. Next up is another one that is not a Thanksgiving film, but again, kind of gives me those vibes. And that's Evil Dead 2013. You could really pick any Evil Dead movie, on here and you know, in the franchise, and it would work. But I don't know. I just picked Evil Dead 2013. You know, it's family and friends that have been estranged getting together in a cabin to be there for each other, to reconnect, to strengthen their bonds again. And there's even like a meat carver in the movie. So like, yeah, it's a Thanksgiving horror movie. It looks like it takes place, you know, in that early winter, late fall time frame too. Yeah, it's a Thanksgiving horror movie. Look, whether you consider this a Thanksgiving horror movie or not, I mean, it's obviously not a Thanksgiving movie, but a perfect watch this time of year because of its aesthetic. It's also just a freaking banger. It's also one of those movies that you can just watch literally any time of year. I make no bones about it that Evil Dead 2013 is absolutely my second favorite Evil Dead film after Evil Dead 2. Like, and I don't think any of them even come close, nor do I think any of them will until Mia comes back in the next one. And I'm not kidding. But until then, this is number 2 for me. I just think that this movie is incredible. It is so gnarly in like the best ways possible. And I think that you could do a lot worse than watching a movie like this in that month that is in between 2 banger holidays of Halloween and Christmas. It's a movie that just fits perfectly in that, you know, period of time. So Evil Dead 2013 is next up. And before I get to the final one, my favorite movie to watch, you know, around Thanksgiving, I do have to say, there are a couple I have not watched yet that people have mentioned to me before. So I want to give a quick shout out to 2 of them. One of them is Pilgrim. I have not seen that one. That one came out in 2019. I plan on checking that one out this week. Another one that I'm actually really excited to check out, which I may watch tonight, is Christy, which is one that I believe came out in 2014. Maybe it's Kirsty. I don't know. I know it stars Ashley Greene, and I was reading about it earlier, and I said, okay, you got my attention. Somebody had commented on one of my videos saying, oh, you need to watch that. So I'm going to check that one out, if not tonight, tomorrow night, and I'm excited for that. So now that those are out of the way, what is my favorite Thanksgiving watch? So quick shout out to A Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. I watch that every year on Thanksgiving with my family. No, it is not a horror movie, but I want to give that movie a shout out. But my number 1 watch for Thanksgiving is going to be Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, the movie that just came out last week that I am going to go see in theaters for a second time this week. If you watched my review or my out of the theater reaction that I did, either video, or you heard us talk about it on the You Need a Horror podcast, this is probably my favorite movie of this year. Like, it just really is. I had an absolute blast with this movie. Aside from all of that, though, this fits perfectly for Thanksgiving. Not only is it called Thanksgiving, not only is the plot like directly tied to the holiday of Thanksgiving, it looks like Thanksgiving, it feels like Thanksgiving, and they lean into that. We got turkeys, we got decor, we got it all. We have a giant turkey in the climax of this movie. We literally have it all. We have a dinner scene, multiple dinner scenes. This movie just leans into the fact that it's Thanksgiving, and I love that so much. This is absolutely just a throwback, old school, kind of cheesy, over-the-top slasher movie with enough realism and lived-in performances and characters that you actually kind of get invested and give a shit. And I just think that this movie is going to become a lot of people's favorite Thanksgiving watch. Now, having said that, it's very apparent that there isn't a lot to choose from. A lot of the times, as I did with a couple movies on this list, we're pulling movies that fit in that time of year but aren't necessarily Thanksgiving films. So having one that truly is and leans into the fact that it is automatically puts this like, what, at least top 3. I mean, for me, it's number 1 though. I think this movie is an absolute home run, and I can't wait to watch this movie every single year. But I want to hear down below, what are 5 movies you guys watch in November, the week of Thanksgiving, whatever you want to call it. Whether they take place at Thanksgiving or mention the holiday at all or not, doesn't matter. What are 5 movies that are perfect for you this time of year? I want to hear that down below. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In. Gobble, gobble, motherfuckers, because I'm pulling out.